I still remember the sting of the gravel as my body slammed against the sidewalk, a split second after the gunshots echoed through the quiet evening. 3 pops, sharp, deliberate. One hit me in the shoulder. Another grazed my side. The third, well, if he hadn't flinched, I wouldn't be here telling you this. I'd just locked up my office, briefcase in one hand, keys in the other. The sun had dipped below the skyline of downtown Miami, and the street was nearly empty, just like it was planned to be. I didn't see him until the first shot rang out. Black hoodie, black gloves, eyes locked on me with a killer's stare. He didn't speak. He didn't warn. He just pulled the trigger. I woke up in the hospital 2 days later. Tubes. Beeping machines. My mouth was dry as sandpaper, and my chest burned like fire. But none of that compared to what happened next. The door creaked open slowly, and there she was, Savannah, my wife of 6 years. Long blonde hair, red lips, tight designer dress like she was going to some damn cocktail party, not visiting her husband who just got shot. But she wasn't alone. A man stepped in behind her. Tall, tan, aviators still on his face even inside the room. He put his hand on the small of her back like he owned her, like I was already dead, and she didn't even flinch. Jason, she said, voice sweet like venom. You're awake. Her smile? Cold. Practiced. Like she was auditioning for a role she already got. I tried to sit up, but the pain was a steel anchor dragging me back down. The man? He didn't say a word. He just stood there, eyeing me like a cockroach that refused to die. Who the hell is that? I managed to grunt. Savannah laughed. Don't be dramatic. This is Blake. He's been helping me get through this. I stared at her. Helping her? I'm the one with bullets in me. Blake finally spoke. His voice was deep, slick. Glad to see you pulled through, man. Real glad. I knew that voice. My blood ran colder than the foredrip. He was the shooter. I couldn't prove it yet, but I knew. The slight limp in his left leg, the same build, the way he flinched when I moved too fast. That son of a witch. They left after a few minutes. She kissed me on the forehead like I was a dying old man, not her husband. Blake gave me a smug little smirk before turning away. As the door clicked shut, rage crawled up my throat like bile. She brought the man who tried to kill me to my hospital room, and smiled while doing it. It wasn't just betrayal. It was war. I hit the call button for the nurse and demanded my phone. I didn't care if I was on morphine. I needed answers. I needed names. And I needed to start planning. Savannah always thought I was soft. Too forgiving. Too patient. But this time I was going to burn her whole world down, brick by brick. Lying there in that hospital bed, the scent of antiseptic thick in the air, I kept replaying every second of her visit like a broken tape. Savannah's smile. The way she looked at Blake. The casual touch of her hand on his chest. She wasn't mourning. She wasn't even pretending. She was flaunting it. And that confirmed everything I didn't want to admit for months. The late nights at yoga. The phone always turned face down. The quick showers when she got home smelling like a damn cologne ad. I wasn't blind. I just didn't want to see. But seeing her walk in with him, the same man who tried to take my life, that woke me the hell up. I called my best friend, Kyle. We've known each other since college. He's the kind of guy who doesn't ask dumb questions when things get messy. He picked up on the first ring. Jason, he said. Jesus, man, I heard what happened. Are you okay? No, I said. But I will be. I need you to come here. Now, bring that burner phone you use for your side hustle. And don't tell anyone, not even Ava. He didn't ask why, just said he'd be there in 20. While I waited, I tried to move my arm and felt the pain shoot through me like lightning. I gritted my teeth. If Blake thought I was going to lie here helpless, he was wrong. Savannah had underestimated me. They both had. Kyle showed up, cap pulled low, hoodie up. Looked like he was sneaking into the place, not visiting a friend. I like that. You look like crap, he muttered, pulling up a chair. Feel worse, I said. Listen, I need you to help me find out who Blake is. Full name, background, everything. I don't care if you have to dig through DMV records or stalk his Instagram. Kyle's eyes narrowed. That's the guy who shot you, isn't it? I didn't blink. He walked in here with Savannah like he owned the place. She introduced him like he's her damn therapist. Kyle cursed under his breath. You sure it was him? Not 100%. But my gut says yes. And Savannah's act? It was too perfect. Too rehearsed. She didn't just move on, she's part of it. He nodded. I'll find him. While Kyle worked, I played the long game. Smiled at the nurses. Acted like I was just another broken man trying to recover. But inside, I was calculating, planning. Every second I spent in that bed, I was building my case. Savannah visited once more. She brought soup, chicken noodle, like I was a child. Sat down and asked if I remembered our honeymoon in Maui. Said things like, "You're going to be okay. I just know it." But her eyes? Dead. Her phone buzzed. She smiled and said she had to run. Blake was waiting in the hallway. This time, I watched from the reflection in the TV screen. She touched his arm, whispered something that made him grin. He grabbed her waist like they'd done it 1,000 times. They weren't hiding anymore, because they thought I couldn't fight back. 2 days later, Kyle came back with a file. His name's Blake Harrison. Used to be in the Army. Discharged dishonorably 5 years ago for aggravated assault. Since then, nothing on the books. No real job. No address. But you know where I found him. I looked up, blood boiling already. Security detail for your wife's father's company. That hit me like another bullet. Her father, Robert Maddox, was a real estate tycoon with a reputation for treating everyone like pawns. Savannah always resented me for not working for the family. Now it all made sense. She wanted control of my tech startup. She wanted me gone. And her father? Probably wanted the same. They used Blake to clean it up. But they failed. Now it was my move. 3 days later, I was discharged from the hospital with a sling, a prescription for painkillers, and a fire burning in my chest that had nothing to do with the bullet wounds. Kyle pushed the wheelchair, but I didn't say a word. My mind was a storm. Quiet on the outside, full-blown chaos inside. Savannah didn't expect me back so soon. That was my advantage. Kyle pulled the car up to my house and handed me a spare key. "She's been here a few times while you were gone," he muttered. "Usually late at night. Sometimes she stays. Sometimes she doesn't." I nodded, jaw clenched. I already knew what that meant. We had security cameras around the house. I had installed them myself. But she must have thought I was too dumb to check the backups. Or maybe she didn't care. Maybe she thought I was going to roll over, disappear, and give her the keys to my life. She was wrong. I waited until late. Parked my car down the street. Walked the last block, every step sending a jolt through my shoulder, but I kept going. The pain reminded me why I had to see this through. I unlocked the front door quietly. The house smelled like her perfume, some overpriced French brand I bought her last Christmas. A candle burned in the living room. Jazz music played softly from the speaker. I heard a giggle upstairs. Then a voice. His voice. I didn't hesitate. I climbed the stairs one step at a time, silent as a shadow, until I reached the bedroom. The door was half open. Savannah was in bed, barely dressed, tangled in sheets. Blake stood beside her, shirtless, pouring himself a drink from my whiskey stash like he paid the damn mortgage. They were laughing, until they saw me. Savannah's face drained of color. Blake dropped the glass, which shattered across the hardwood. I stepped in, slow and steady. "Didn't expect me so soon?" I said, my voice low and cold. Savannah scrambled to sit up, wrapping the sheets around herself like it mattered. "Jason, what the hell are you doing here? You're supposed to be dead." I finished for her. "Yeah, I figured that was the plan." Blake moved like he wanted to charge me, but stopped himself. "Back off, man. You don't want trouble." I smiled. "Oh, I already have trouble. Got a couple bullets to prove it." Savannah's mask dropped in an instant. "What do you want, Jason?" "To ruin everything even more." I stared at her, stunned. "Ruin everything? Are you actually serious right now?" She stood, pulling on a robe like she was in control. "You were always weak. Always building your little company, acting like you were better than us. My father gave you a seat at the table, and you spat in his face." "You mean he offered to buy my company and turn it into one of his tax shelters?" I snapped. "And when I said no, you decided to help him steal it." Blake crossed his arms. "You should leave, man." "Shut the hell up," I barked, eyes locked on Savannah. "You sent this scumbag to kill me." She laughed. Actually laughed. "Prove it," she said, smirking. "All you've got is a busted shoulder and a bruised ego. Who do you think the cops will believe? The cheating wife, or the man who's having a psychotic break?" "You forget one thing," I said, reaching into my pocket. I pulled out the tiny flash drive Kyle gave me earlier. "That camera in the living room still works. And it caught him leaving the night I got shot, wearing the same damn clothes I saw in my hospital room." Her face dropped. For the first time, Blake looked nervous. "You're bluffing," she whispered. "Want a bet?" I didn't wait for her answer. I turned around and walked out, leaving them in stunned silence. They weren't the ones in control anymore. Now it was my turn. Back in my car, I sat gripping the wheel, my knuckles pale. My heart was racing, not from fear, not anymore, but from clarity. That look in Savannah's eyes when I mentioned the camera? That flicker of panic? She knew the game had changed. She wasn't the puppet master anymore. And Blake? That fool was just a pawn in a bigger move. My move. I drove to Kyle's apartment just after midnight. He opened the door half asleep, rubbing his eyes. You look like hell. You should have seen them, I muttered. Still warm in my bed, sipping my whiskey. She looked me in the eye like I was the villain. Kyle stepped aside, motioning me in. Did you give her the flash drive? I tossed it on the table. Didn't need to. Just showing it to her was enough. Her poker face cracked. He smirked. That's when you know you've got something. We spent the next hour reviewing everything we had. Footage of Blake coming and going. His car on the street across from my office building the night I was shot. Bank statements showing money transfers from one of Robert Maddox's shell companies to a private account under Blake's name. Kyle had dug deep, and he'd found gold. She paid him, Kyle said, pointing to the screen. Or more likely, her father did. This transfer came 2 days before the hit. 40 grand. Then another one 3 days later, right after you landed in the hospital. That's not payment, I said coldly. That's a bonus. Kyle leaned back. So what's next? Simple, I said. We build the case. We bleed them dry. And we make them wish they had finished the job. Savannah didn't just cheat. She conspired to end me. For money. For power. For control of a company I built from the ground up while she was busy shopping and taking Pilates selfies. I wasn't going to divorce her. Not yet. I was going to take back everything she thought was hers. Publicly, brutally, and with evidence. The next morning, I met with a private investigator Kyle recommended. A sharp, no BS ex-cop named Jordan Pierce. Bald, tattooed, and looked like he could crush a beer can with his bare hands. Or someone's jaw. You want revenge or justice? He asked as he flipped through the folder. Both, I said. In that order. He nodded once. Then you came to the right guy. Within 2 days, Jordan had tracked Blake's movements, intercepted a few shady texts, and confirmed what we feared. Savannah and her father had been scheming behind my back for months. Apparently, Blake was just the closer. Robert Maddox wanted full acquisition of my company. He offered Savannah a seat on the board if she delivered the kill. Literal kill, turns out. Savannah, the woman who once cried during a car commercial. The woman who begged me to trust her when I thought something felt off. She sold me out for a title. Jordan slid me a manila envelope. Inside were screenshots of text messages between Savannah and Blake. In one, dated 2 days before the shooting, she wrote, "Make it clean. If he survives, everything's ruined." I read it twice, then a third time. My throat tightened. It didn't feel real, but it was. She wanted me dead. Not divorced. Not gone. Dead. Kyle looked at me, his voice low. What do you want to do? I'm going to bury them. I wasn't talking about violence. I was talking about exposure. Savannah loved attention. She lived for Instagram followers, gala invitations, her perfect image. So I'd hit her where it hurt most. Next step. I leaked the messages anonymously to a local reporter who owed me a favor. Told him it was a story about corruption, betrayal, and attempted murder in the high society of Miami. And just like that, the headlines wrote themselves. Wife of tech CEO linked to attempted murder plot in corporate takeover. I didn't even have to say her name. Her face was on the cover by noon. And the real show hadn't even started yet. The headline hit like a thunderclap. By the time I finished my morning coffee, Savannah's phone was probably exploding with calls from her PR team, her plastic friends, and her weasel of a father. Her social media was already flooded. Some people defended her, of course, innocent until proven guilty types, but the tide was turning. Fast. By noon, I got a call from her. I let it ring. She texted, "Savannah, we need to talk. Call me. Now." I ignored that too. She tried again 30 minutes later. "Savannah, you're destroying everything. Do you really want to go down this road?" "Oh, sweetheart, we're already halfway down that road. You just didn't expect to see me behind the wheel." Around 2 p.m., my lawyer, Morgan Reyes, called me. She'd been handling my business contracts for years. Sharp, deadly in court. Exactly who I needed now. "You sure you want to go nuclear?" she asked. "Already did." "Then buckle up," she said. Her father just sent a cease and desist through his legal team. He's calling the leaks defamatory. Wants to resolve things privately. I laughed. Privately. Of course. Let me guess. They're offering a buyout. 5 million to walk away. You sign an NDA. No more leaks. No criminal charges pursued. It was a generous offer. But 5 million wasn't the point. They tried to take everything from me. My business. My life. And they thought I'd sell my silence like some desperate loser? Hell no. Tell them to shove it, I said. I'll see them in court. The next day, things got even better. Jordan, the PI, sent me a video. Surveillance footage from a private club Savannah frequented. Blake was with her, whispering something in her ear while she laughed. But then, Blake leaned in and said something that clearly ticked her off. She slapped him. He grabbed her wrist. She broke away and stormed off. In public, I smiled. Cracks were showing. Later that night, I got a message from a burner number. Unknown. We need to talk. She's not telling you everything. I stared at the screen. I replied, who is this? Unknown. Let's just say I used to be close to Savannah. Very close. She'll ruin you if you don't move fast. I debated ignoring it. Could be bait. Could be Savannah trying to bait me into slipping. But curiosity won. I agreed to meet the guy at a bar just off Brickell, neutral ground, public, lots of cameras. I told Kyle and Jordan where I'd be, just in case. He was already there when I arrived. Mid-30s, sharp suit, nervous eyes. Name was Cole. I used to be her assistant, he said, nursing a scotch. But I was more than that. I helped her hide things. Book trips. Reroute money. Fake accounts. I leaned forward. Go on. He pulled a flash drive from his pocket. Bank logs. Phone records. She's been planning this for over a year, Jason. The affair was just the fun part. The rest? That was business. I took the drive without a word. He wasn't lying. Back at Kyle's, we opened the files. Dozens of transactions. One led to a holding account in the Cayman Islands under the name B. Harrison Holdings. Blake. And the money? It came directly from Maddox Trust Capital, her father's company. It was checkmate. I didn't need Savannah to confess anymore. I had the paper trail, the texts, the video, and now a former assistant willing to testify. But I wasn't done. She'd wanted me dead. I wanted her to watch everything she built burn. So I called Morgan. Filed a restraining order. Press charges. And I want a full audit of Maddox Trust. Let's see what else they've been hiding. She didn't hesitate. This is going to be messy, she warned. Good, I said, standing at the window, watching the sun go down over a city I now owned in more ways than one. Let's make it unforgettable. By the end of the week, it was everywhere. News outlets were running round-the-clock coverage of the scandal. Phrases like attempted murder for profit and corporate betrayal were trending. Savannah's face was plastered across every screen. Once the darling of elite social circles, now the center of a criminal investigation. And the best part? She couldn't shut it down. I made sure the evidence was distributed to multiple sources, journalists, bloggers, even influencers hungry for gossip. The kind of wildfire that can't be contained. No PR firm could spin this. No Instagram apology would save her. I was in the middle of reviewing the full Cayman Islands transfer logs when Kyle walked in, phone in hand, eyes wide. You're not gonna believe this, he said, tossing it on the table. It was a video. Someone, probably one of Blake's own people, had leaked footage of him at a shooting range 2 days before the attack on me. He was using the same Glock that matched the bullet found in my shoulder. Ballistics were already in motion. If they matched, Blake wouldn't just be a suspect. He'd be done. I watched the clip 3 times. Every detail. Every frame. Then I sent it to Morgan. 2 hours later, she called me. We're filing official criminal charges. Attempted murder. Conspiracy. Wire fraud. And obstruction. And Savannah? She'll go down as co-conspirator unless she flips. I leaned back, heart pounding with satisfaction. She won't flip? I said. She thinks she's smarter than everyone else. But the cracks were getting wider. The restraining order was approved the same day. Savannah wasn't allowed within 100 feet of me, my home, or my company headquarters. She broke it within 24 hours. She showed up outside my building wearing sunglasses and some pathetic disguise, like she was invisible. Security stopped her before she could even walk through the doors. She screamed something about me stealing her life, but the cameras caught it all. It went viral by the next morning. Disgraced CEO's wife melts down in public. You stole everything. Every move she made just made things worse for her. And I didn't lift a finger. That was the best part. I didn't need revenge. I just needed the truth. and it was more savage than anything I could have planned. But Blake? He wasn't going down easy. Late that night, I received a message through Jordan. Apparently, Blake had skipped town, fled Miami. His last card was survival. I wasn't surprised. Cowards always run when the heat turns up. But Jordan wasn't the kind of man to let someone vanish. 2 days later, he tracked Blake down in Tampa, holed up in a cheap motel, using a fake name. Jordan handed everything to the cops. SWAT moved in that night. They dragged Blake out at 3 a.m. He was shirtless, bloody-nosed, screaming about how Savannah had set him up. Said she made him do it, that she promised they'd never get caught. And the second he started talking, she was finished. Morgan called again the next morning. He's flipping. He's naming names. Savannah, Robert, the trust, everything. What's the play? We let it ride. But Jason, this is going beyond just your company now. The feds are sniffing around her father. There's talk of tax fraud, bribery, and money laundering. I let that sink in. All I wanted was justice. What I was getting was an empire collapsing. I couldn't stop picturing Savannah's face that night in the hospital. Smug, cruel, victorious. She thought she had won. But now, I was watching her kingdom burn. And I wasn't even holding the match. I didn't hear from Savannah again. Not directly, at least. Her calls stopped. No more texts. Not a single lawyer trying to negotiate. No public statement. No apology. Silence. But in the background, her world was crumbling. The FBI raided her father's office 3 days after Blake's arrest. I watched it live on the news. Black SUVs, agents in navy jackets storming Maddox Trust Capital like it was a mob den. Boxes carried out. Computers seized. Robert Maddox, the king of Miami real estate, let out in cuffs. That image? Worth every scar on my body. Savannah wasn't arrested yet, but she might as well have been. She'd become a ghost. Her name blacklisted from charity galas, corporate boards, country clubs. Even her influencer friends unfollowed her like she had a disease. No one wanted to be near the fallout. I should have felt satisfied, but there was still one thing missing. Closure. So I gave her one last chance. I had Morgan set up a formal deposition. Not in a courtroom, not with cameras. Just her, me, and her attorney in a closed office. She could say her piece. I could say mine. Then we'd be done. She agreed. I still remember the sound of her heels clicking down that hallway as she walked in. Back straight, chin high, dressed in black like she was the victim. She sat across from me. Her lawyer, a sweaty, nervous wreck, cleared his throat. We're here to clarify Ms. Maddox's position and... I raised a hand. Don't bother. She knows why we're here. Savannah's eyes met mine. Cold. But there was something else now. Fear, maybe. Or shame. Hard to tell with someone like her. You have no idea what you've done, she said, voice sharp. You think this is justice? You're destroying my family. You destroyed it the second you signed a deal to have me killed. Her face didn't move. Not a twitch. But her silence was loud. You could have divorced me, I said. You could have walked away. But you wanted the company. You wanted everything. And you thought I'd just disappear. She glanced down, as if trying to summon a tear. Then, in the most emotionless voice I'd ever heard, she said, I did what I had to do. I laughed. I couldn't help it. Did what you had to do? Savannah, you hired your side piece to murder me in the street. And when that didn't work, you brought him into my hospital room like it was a victory lap. She looked away. Her lawyer reached to say something, but I cut him off. I don't want an apology. I don't want a settlement. I just wanted you to look me in the eye while I told you this. You lost. I stood, slid a single folder across the table toward her. Inside is a copy of the lawsuit. Fraud. Conspiracy. Attempted murder. Your name is on every page. Her fingers trembled slightly as she picked it up. This time next month, you'll be indicted, I added. And when that happens, I'll make sure every juror sees the video of you telling Blake to make it clean. Her lawyer turned white. She didn't say a word. Didn't even blink. I walked out without looking back. No parting shot. No dramatic line. Just the quiet satisfaction of knowing the woman who tried to erase me would soon be erased from everything she cared about. Outside, Kyle waited in the car. Well, he asked. It's done, I said. She knows it's over. He nodded. Good. You deserve some peace. I wasn't sure I believed in peace anymore. But I knew one thing. Revenge felt a hell of a lot better than forgiveness. 1 month later, Savannah Maddox was arrested at a private spa in Palm Beach, barefoot in a white robe, screaming about how she deserved better than this. The footage made the news, naturally. One clip showed her kicking off her slippers and spitting at the arresting officer. Classy to the bitter end. I watched it all from my office, sitting in the same chair she once tried to steal from me, metaphorically and literally. The leather still had a tiny scuff mark where she used to rest her designer purse. It was poetic. Blake was already deep into a plea deal, singing like a canary. He'd confessed to the attempted murder, handed over every text, every plan, every whisper Savannah fed him in the dark. Her father? Indicted for money laundering and wire fraud. His empire? Gone. Auctioned off, piece by piece. And Savannah? Facing 15 years minimum. Turns out the state didn't like people using hitmen to fast-track hostile takeovers. The courtroom was packed on the day of her arraignment. Reporters, bloggers, rivals who used to smile at her across champagne glasses. I didn't attend. I didn't need to. I already had everything I wanted. But then, something unexpected happened. I got a letter, handwritten, from her, delivered by her new court-appointed attorney. No frills, no perfume, just 5 pages of tightly written ink on hotel stationery. I waited 2 days before I opened it. The first line hit like a brick. I never loved you the way you deserved. I was too selfish to see the man in front of me. She went on to say everything I already knew, that the affair started during a rough patch, one she created, that her father pushed her to fix the family reputation by sabotaging me, and that she truly believed I wouldn't survive the shooting. That last part? Yeah, that one burned. But at the end of the letter, she wrote something I didn't expect. I used to think I was the one in control. But the moment you stood up in that hospital and looked me in the eye, I knew I lost. Not just the game, but myself. I didn't cry. I didn't forgive her. But I finally understood something. She wasn't just evil. She was empty. A void trying to be filled with power, status, attention. And when she couldn't find it, she reached for destruction. Mine. Hers. Everyone's. I had the chance to write back. I didn't. Instead, I got back to building. Not just the company, though it was now booming thanks to the headlines and exposure, but my life. Real life. I took time off. Traveled. Got therapy. Yeah, the tough guy who took a bullet went and talked about his feelings. Turns out not all wounds bleed. And I started dating again. Nothing serious. Not yet. But it felt different this time. No secrets. No games. Just real people, real moments. Kyle stayed close through it all. Jordan too. I gave both of them permanent seats on the company board. Loyalty like that? You reward it. Months passed. The media found a new scandal. Savannah disappeared into the prison system. Her name no longer echoed in my ears like a curse. I was free. The scars on my shoulder remained, of course. Physical reminders of how close I came to losing everything. But every time I saw them in the mirror, I didn't feel anger anymore. I felt fire. The kind that forges steel. People always say betrayal breaks a man. They're wrong. It refines him. If you let it. So if you're reading this, and someone you trusted put a knife in your back, don't just pull it out. Sharpen it. And build your legacy with the very blade they meant to bury you with.